You get to hear me yap for a while. Did you start?
I just started.
Okay, awesome. Probably added that out. So, I don't know. I think everyone here knows me. My name is Steven, and I'm the Vice President of the Rochester Spiritualist Society, sort of Rochester's unofficial spiritualist historian. Also, our group's Lyceum Director, even though we haven't really done much with that. So for today's talk, I picked my favorite principle that we have in ours, which is the Ministry of Angels. But I actually kind of got the idea because when I was digging through some of my history stuff, one of the things I kind of like to do is I look back on some of the records in Rochester Spiritualist history, and I look back kind of about I'll look back kind of like in numbers like 100, 50, 30, stuff like that. And I want to see what other spiritualists in the past decades were talking about around this time. And so a couple of them around Easter time really kind of emphasized talking about the ministry of angels. So I wanted to do that today. And before we start off, I've kind of gotten into this little habit of where when I give a talk, I really want to start off with kind of sort of a little kind of quiet little meditation that's set up like affirmations. And I actually got this idea from a historical spiritualist from Rochester from the 1920s, whose name was Reverend William Joseph Airwood. And he would read kind of these excerpts from a book of like affirmations. And so I've been kind of writing my own and setting them up for that. So this is just something to help us get into the kind of the headspace that I think would be helpful for this talk. So if everyone just want to take a little deep breath, and I'm just going to read this, and you can just kind of tune in before I start. So these always start off with a little verse from the Bible, and this is from Psalm 91, which says, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways." I accept that angels are near. Messengers of the Most High walk beside me, guiding, guarding, and whispering truths of spirit. I quiet my mind and open my heart. I choose to live in awareness of their nearness and to be attentive to their sacred messages. I release fear, doubt, and noise. I cultivate a spirit of listening, calm, watchful, and ready to receive. Angels speak in stillness. Angels move in love. Their presence is gentle but sure. Through signs, intuition, inspiration, and peace, they make themselves known. I prepare a place within me for their ministry. With trust and reverence, I welcome their guidance and give thanks for their help. I believe in the ministry of angels. I train my mind to hear their voice and my soul to follow their light. Amen.
Amen.
So, as I said, I mentioned our third principle. The Rochester Spiritual Society's third principle is the ministry of spirits and angels. It affirms that elevated spirits and angels minister to us through mediumship and healing. This belief in ministering spirits is one of the distinguishing hallmarks of spiritualism in the landscape of American churches and American religious movements. Early spiritualists were often referred to by other churches as angelic Christians because they embraced the idea that the divine guidance did not solely come from ordained preachers or traditional clergy, but rather through the messages of spirits and angels communicated through mediumship. Their understanding of angels differed a bit from the common interpretation found in most Christian churches, though. Rather than viewing angels as an entirely separate class of divine beings, early spiritualists recognized that the term angel, as it was found in the Greek and Hebrew in the Bible, simply just means messenger. So the traditional spiritualist teaching is that an angel is a spirit of one who has passed on and is now residing in a higher state of being and continuing to provide wisdom, healing, and support to those still on earth. This view aligns with the broader spiritualist belief that the soul persists beyond death, evolving in understanding and enlightenment. The early spiritualists, for a reference point to kind of understand how they thought, they tended to look to the Bible a lot, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And this is both true from a lot of spiritualists who came from Christian and Jewish backgrounds, because it was sort of their standard of how to understand and interpret things. And so they kind of read this to mean, to give them sort of meaning of what it means to have these angels and spirits guiding us. And so, just as the prophets and the apostles of biblical times received messages from spirit beings, early spiritualists saw mediumship as a natural extension of this tradition, where loving and wise spirits ministered to the living, offering comfort, guidance, and proof of the continuity of life. Thus, the ministry of spirits and angels is not only a core tenet of our faith, but also a reminder that divine assistance is always accessible, conveyed through the voices of those who have walked before us and now seek to guide us forward. Throughout the Bible, whenever angels appear to people, their first words are often, "Fear not," or "Be not afraid." I actually went through and made a list of this, and it was almost every single time that there was an angel in the Bible that they said that, which was pretty crazy because I did not know that. This is because angels are messengers of hope, goodness, and divine reassurance. When the angel Gabriel appeared to Zechariah to announce the birth of John the Baptist, he said, "Do not be afraid, your prayer has been heard." When Gabriel visited Mary, he said, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." And in the Christmas story, when the shepherds in the field saw the heavenly host announcing the birth of Jesus, the angels proclaimed, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy." Throughout the Bible, angels appear to offer guidance and strength in moments of trial. In the Old Testament, an angel ministered to the prophet Elijah when he was weak and despairing, telling him to eat and regain his strength for the journey ahead. And then in the New Testament, after Jesus endured 40 days in the wilderness, it says that angels came and ministered to him. These encounters mirror our own spiritual experiences. When we are weary, when we feel lost, Spirit reaches out to uplift us. It actually sounds like they're calling us right now. This message of divine reassurance continues in the Easter story, something that even if we don't necessarily take it as some of the Christian churches take it, it's a way that we can kind of understand this through spiritualist context. Angels appear at the empty tomb to proclaim Jesus' resurrection. When the women came to anoint Jesus' body, they found an angel who reassured them, saying, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who is crucified. He is not here, for he is risen." Even when Jesus himself appeared to Mary Magdalene after his resurrection, he echoed the angelic message saying, "Do not be afraid." From a spiritualist understanding of these verses, resurrection is not a physical experience, but a spiritual one, serving as a powerful confirmation of Jesus' own teachings about the reality of the spirit world and the ongoing ministry of angels. His return in spirit to comfort and guide his followers, just as he promised, saying, "I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you," demonstrates that life continues beyond the grave and that communication with the spirit realm is possible. Throughout his ministry, Jesus affirmed the existence and activity of angels as messengers and ministers of God. And his spiritual return after death supports the central truth of spiritualism, especially as understood by these early spiritualists that were kind of reading this as an example of what they believed. That spirit communication is real, and that the dead live on, and that angels and spirit guides continue to work among us for guidance, comfort, and truth. As we celebrate Easter, let's take time to remember that the ministry of angels is alive and active. It's not just limited to kind of like these old stories. And I think that's kind of one of the most strongest points of spiritualism, is that these things aren't just kind of like fables or things from the Bible. These experiences are things that we can actively experience. Just as it was when they rolled the stone away from Christ's tomb and the angels appeared, angels have always been messengers of the highest truth, declaring that light overcomes darkness, that life is eternal, and that divine love never fades. In the same way, Spirit continues to speak to us today, offering guidance, hope, and a reminder that we are never alone. But how can we apply the message of angels to our daily lives? Just as angels in the Bible encourage people to have faith and not fear, we too must cultivate positive thinking and trust in divine guidance. When we face difficulties, we can remind ourselves of a verse that's in the New Testament, which says, Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. To invite the ministry of angels into our daily lives, we must cultivate a regular awareness of their presence and trust in their divine assistance. Our habitual thoughts, emotions, and attitudes create the spiritual atmosphere that allows these heavenly helpers to draw near and guide us. By beginning and ending each day with a prayerful heart, we open ourselves to their influence, aligning our spirit with the presence of God and his messengers. A powerful practice is to consciously affirm, deep within our souls, O blessed angels, we walk together in the work of life. Through this daily recognition, we strengthen our partnership with the angels, allowing their wisdom, protection, and love to uplift us in all that we do. By maintaining an attitude of faith and openness to their presence, we make room for their guidance and experience the peace that comes from knowing that we are never alone on our spiritual journey. I'd like to end with a favorite verse of mine from the Bible, from the Book of Tobit, which the Book of Tobit is actually not in most Protestant Bibles. It's a book that's in Catholic Bibles. So it is, if you bought like an old King James version of the Bible, it's not going to be in there. You have to get a Catholic one. And the Book of Tobit is literally almost like adventure story about angels, and it's very good. So I highly recommend just reading it, because it's actually not boring. And so my favorite verse from this is, "May you have a good journey, and may God be with you on your way, and may his angels travel with you. Thank you all, and happy Easter."